Hey, I'm just sitting down again to mix that last song I posted. And since I did post that, I opened up the kit to the producer unmixed kit, and the advantages are just, really great by doing that. If you want a simple mix, you can keep it shut, and it's just, you don't get in as deep, you can't do as many things to the kit. But the minute you open it up, you get all these tracks to adjust, so you're starting to mix on a multiple level. And I always like to compare it to Spock's chess game. Yeah, Spock's chess game. He had a 3-layer chess game, multi-dimensional on 3 layers. Well, that mixing is way more than that. When you use all the areas that you have available to you, it is mixing with compressors and time delay effects and all the tracks. And by the time you go in on different levels that you're allowed to go in on, there's just a multiple series and layers of mixing capabilities to get what you need out of your work. So anyway, this is what I got so far. Hopefully it's a little more clear. I've got everything a little more distinguishable. And, everybody has pros and cons about that, but I was taught to mix so that you could hear everything. That may not be the goal of the entire project, to hear everything perfectly. And maybe the band or artist doesn't care. And then you kind of have to just find that happy medium where you let go of some of the things you learned and some of the standards you like to maintain, and just mix it a little more loose and not so definable, and it'll still serve the purpose as long as the energy's pumping and the direction is being taken up by the energy from the tracks that you don't hear perfect. I like to think this is pretty definable now, pretty defined. But they don't all have to be that way is the point, as long as the energy is propelling it in the direction the song needs to go. So here's what I got so far. Now we'll open up the entire kit right here. And we can audition a few of the areas. We can go to the overheads. Right now I've got a compressor on the overheads. So we can, I'm mixing those in. We can try a little verb on those. Let's go over here and throw a little room. That's a lot. You're hearing that? But it's dissipating well. Let's leave it on. Let's see what it sounds like in the mix. Maybe just a little too much. I'm not trying to do a final mix here, I'm just trying to demonstrate a few things. Okay, so that's the overhead track. Now let's go to room A. I have nothing on room A. Pretty cool, right? Can pan them. Now let's go to, here's leak. And here I can pan that as well. A little tighter, a little more focused. So I mean, if we just throw a compressor on there quick, we'll hear the difference. I'll just go to a quick preset. We'll just do a drum room and then we'll tweak it a little bit. So it's already boosted a little bit. You could hear that, right? And let's try a little bit of the verb on that one and see what it sounds like. Got a little tail on there. Put it in the mix. That means we've got access to all our toms now. There's our hi-hat, our toms, which I haven't begun any work on. Let's listen to those again. There's not much tom action going on the way I set up the drums edits now. Little hit here and there. Yeah, they're doing like single hits. If we bring the snare in, we can see what little combinations with the snare. Bring that verb down just a little bit. So we can group these toms, we can EQ them, we can put compression. Nothing's on them. If you don't open the entire kit up, you don't get that opportunity. You can only deal with it on a minimal basis mixing. This allows you to mix a little deeper on other levels. So it's pretty cool. Gives you a lot more versatility. Here's the main mix. I can also go in a little differently from here and change that kick. Took it right out. Turn the toms up a little here. Or I can go here on the overhead channel and pull up the drums, and then you can get all your choices here to change drums. So that's what I mean, you get a little more depth. You can really go crazy with it. You get all these choices here of drums to pick when you open up to the producer unmixed kit. Same for toms, cymbals, snares. Right now we're on the kick, so I can take it out here. But it's still in the bleed. It's still in the room mixes and stuff. So you've got to remember what you're doing when you get this much room to mix, all the different layers and levels and different areas you can come in from to get the same thing accomplished, or even more, you know, with your effects and everything like that. Some routes are just faster to get to. Some routes give you more accessibility to other things you can do to the kit, to one part of the kit. Like I can't do that much here. I can just change levels here. I can change compression, I can change the tone. If we listen to the drums, I can change the tone here of the drum from here, the overall kit, which may not always be the answer. Right now it's kind of neutral, but watch how bright it can get. Kind of ugly, you know, papery, snare. And you don't want the toms and the kick and all that necessarily doing that. It's a cheap way to do it fast. And then you find the happy medium and balance it. You know, you might come up to here and get away with it. You start going over here and everything's affected by it on the kit. So it's like a universal global way of doing it rather than going in on each track and doing exactly what needs to be done for definition and audibility. And hi-hats. Guitars. I always try to play them slightly different. That they're still in the pocket enough, but they sound a little different, the attack, and maybe slightly different EQ. And then I'll pull up which one benefits the mix or EQ that one only. Don't necessarily EQ them all. If one stands warm, I might back it off. It's just what works. You know, you can audition them all. That's 3 guitars right there. This one's kind of neutral. It's not too dark, it's not too bright. I've got nothing on this one yet. I've got like 3K, cut a little bit. Here's the bright. Let's go back here. Here we go. You can hear 3K boosted. Kind of ugly to me. 18 dB of high end. Cut a little low end, you achieve the same thing usually and keep things stable on the high end and in the mids. Here it is again. We'll add a little bottom. Now, it's, you know, definitely not going to sit in the mix with the bass and the kick and the drum track. Your mids are going to give it more push, a little more fist, hard attack, which will interfere with your nuances, your accent tracks, if you have any signature riffs. So you want to watch where you sit your rhythm tracks. You don't want them conflicting with the drum or the bass, but you don't want them conflicting with accent parts or the vocals, if there's vocals in. I got a scratch bass track for now. And it kind of gives energy and direction. So I kind of have it a little louder. Back it down a little bit while it's soloed. Put it back in. On an amp. If I were to ride the compression, I'd probably back off the track. Solo the kick and see what I got going on so far. Back that bass down a little bit more. See how far we can go and keep it standing in the mix enough that it gives direction and energy. And then we're going to look at that kick again and see what I did to the kick. And I did boost it at 70 because I've got it sitting lower than the kick and the bass. I've got the kick sitting lower than the bass guitar. We can get a little more snap in that kick. It's not bad for a rough mix. I mean, I have no real purpose for it right now. I might write lyrics to it, so I don't have to do anything like polished or try to polish it at all by any standards. I just want it to sound respectable right now. And that's where I am today. Hope you enjoyed that.